Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to you all in our Enterprise Mobile App Test Strategy Masterclass. And this is our next session. I'm Ashwini Sathe. I'm a Senior Group Manager, Product Marketing at Sauce Labs. And I have a very special guest with me today, Jeffrey Yozwiak, who's a consultant, esteemed consultant with Forrester Research Inc. And we are here to present how you can maximize ROI with cloud-based mobile testing. So let's get started. Let's look at the market trends and challenges. Now, Forrester research analysts are definitely seeing some interesting trends in mobile app development and testing, and I'm summarizing them here for you. So the first one is the rise of mobile cloud testing. Now, more organizations today are really getting out of the build your own device lab business and choosing the cloud for various reasons that include scalability, flexibility, parallelization, team productivity, that go beyond just cost reduction. Device coverage, there's ongoing need for testing on region-specific devices, especially when it comes to Android because of the diverse nature of the Android ecosystem, the high fragmentation that we see here. So companies are dealing with different device configs, hardware capabilities, screen sizes, and so much more. When it comes to test automation, smart testers have already adopted and embraced continuous automated mobile testing, right? And but the rest of the industry is still catching up with continuous automated mobile testings. The testers can see so much more benefits when it comes to identifying the potential risks early on, being able to really test throughout the SDLC and get that continuous feedback loop, which is really critical for QA and development teams. As more personas are getting involved in quality, there is an increasing need for having this cohesive collaboration so that teams can work continually towards the goals that those software development projects are destined to achieve. And lastly, AI and machine learning. We are at such an interesting innovation curve when it comes to AI that software in development and testing leaders are also continuing to explore how they can use it and leverage it in their test and development practices, be it using those models to generate tests automatically or really prioritizing tests that they want to run, and so many more aspects that still are continuing to be explored. When it comes to customer challenges, we are really hearing these big six challenges from our customers. At the business strategy level, risk management is top of mind for business leaders. At business initiative level, how they're optimizing their spending through cost management and capital allocation is becoming key because business leaders are facing tighter budgets today. And that's further driving your engineering and quality teams to do more with less and drive efficiency. When it comes to critical capabilities, customer experience can really make or break a business, and therefore how they can test the critical elements of the customer experience throughout the SDLC, how they can maximize quality by getting the right signals at the right time throughout the SDLC is becoming more and more important. When it comes to test and quality solutions, the experience of the QA and development teams can have a direct impact on the success of any software development project. And therefore, leaders are looking at solving various challenges around the skills and knowledge gaps, the collaboration issues, especially with the remote and hybrid workforce that we face today. So this is like a good summary of what are the challenges that we see our customers talk about when it comes to mobile app development and testing. With that, I would love to hand it over to Jeffrey now to talk about the key components that you should be looking at when evaluating software testing tools, the ROI of these tools, the total economic impact of these tools, and also share key findings from the total economic study of Sauce Labs. So Jeffrey, over to you.
Thanks, Ashwini. Hi, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Yozwiak. I'm a consultant with Forrester's Total Economic Impact, or TEI, practice. Today, I'm going to be presenting our research on the total economic impact of Sauce Labs. First, I'm going to give some background on and describe the methodology behind the study. Then I'll talk about where we got our data. And finally, I'll spend most of my time presenting the results of the research. First, just some background context. Forrester knows that technology investment decisions are increasingly complex. To help technology leaders make investment decisions, we developed a business case methodology known as the Total Economic Impact, or TEI. A TEI analysis goes beyond simpler business case frameworks such as TCO or ROI by actually considering and quantifying variability in outcomes as well as the long-run strategic value of an investment. So let me describe how we do this, our approach, and the methodology we took for our study of sauce labs. TEI analyses have 4 pillars. First, we quantify the historical benefits and costs of a technology investment. Then we analyze the potential and value that that investment might have in the future. That's what we call flexibility. And lastly, to be conservative, we adjust all of the numbers to account for uncertainty as well as risk. TI studies take months. We begin with the due diligence period during which we speak with experts on the technology, including both our analysts as well as the folks at Sauce Labs who are actually building the tech. Then we gather data by interviewing Sauce Labs customers. These customer interviews are really the hallmark of the TI approach. The interviews are anonymous and confidential. We don't mention the interviewee names in the case study, and Sauce Labs does not participate in the interviews. This really allows us to get unbiased information and enables the interviewees the freedom to speak their minds and give us the unvarnished truth about a technology. Using the quantitative and qualitative data that we gather during those interviews, we model a typical or representative organization's experience with the technology. That's what we call the composite and financial model step. Using this financial model, we then calculate an ROI. And then we document everything in a full report and case study. We really try to be transparent in our case studies and walk readers through our calculations and conclusions step by step. And then the last part of the process is just for our experts and analysts to review the case study and then publish it. So now let me describe the source data for our Sauce Labs case study. I'll talk about the customers we interviewed and how and why they found value with Sauce Labs. We spoke with representatives from 5 different organizations using Sauce Labs for mobile testing. There were a variety of team sizes and a variety of industry use cases. But all these organizations really had one trait in common. Their mobile apps were integral to their businesses, and quality of those apps was paramount. Any issues in the apps, any bugs that escaped to production would directly impact revenue. Before Sauce Labs, these organizations were struggling with several common challenges. First, most of them had tested on their apps on mobile devices using their in-house devices, but this was really impractical. Testing was slow, and then they had to buy and maintain the in-house devices, which was expensive. One of the interviewees just called it a huge headache. The devices themselves were a substantial cost, but actually more costly was the time of the people who maintained and administered the devices. And even despite all of the effort that they were putting into testing, there were still issues that were often escaping QA. Some of the organizations did have other testing platforms in place, but they described them as unreliable and flaky. All in all, the organization's testing practices on mobile were just unsophisticated and lagged behind both general best practices, as well as the testing solutions that they had in other platforms. The organizations needed a way to bring their mobile testing up to par with modern testing best practices. The interviewees went through an evaluation process of different vendors and ultimately many said that they chose Sauce Labs because it just worked. Sauce Labs was reliable and delivered on its promises. Most of the interviewees also described how Sauce Labs offering satisfied their organization's rigorous security requirements. And all of the organizations really appreciated their partnership with Sauce Labs and the superior customer support that Sauce Labs offered. So then to analyze the impact of adopting Sauce Labs, we aggregated and blended the data that we got during those customer interviews into a single composite organization. This organization has about $5 billion in revenue and 10,000 employees, 1,000 developers and QA engineers or testers that contribute to mobile app delivery. The team is agile and uses modern software development practices, but testing on in-house mobile devices is holding it back and is a bottleneck. This is a problem because the organization's mobile apps are crucial to its business. For this organization that's representative of the customers, we then constructed a financial model and calculated the business benefits and costs of adopting Sauce Lab. So from that analysis, I'll get into the results. Here's what we found. I'll talk about the benefits first. At a high level, investing in Sauce Labs to improve mobile testing yielded 217% return on investment for the composite organization. That means that for every $1 invested in the solution, the organization returned an additional That means that for every $1 invested in the solution, there was that $1 was returned plus an additional $2.17 in benefits. For an organization the size of the composite, that equated to over 10 million in present value benefits, or almost 7 million in net benefits. We also found a relatively short payback period. That is, the organization recouped its initial investment within about 6 months. During the customer interviews, we heard about and quantified 4 sources of benefits. The first are savings on testing infrastructure and operations. Second was delivery team productivity. Third, new business attributed to improved testing. And fourth is reduced business exposure to app issues. I'll explain each of these in detail in a moment, but I think you can think of Sauce Labs as having provided value to the customers we interviewed in 4 ways. The first was the cost savings on mobile testing infrastructure. The second was the productivity of developers and QA team members. The third was increased development velocity, and the fourth was increased app quality. On the flip side, we also heard about 3 sources of costs. First was the subscription to Sauce Labs. Second was the setup or deployment effort. And then third was also the ongoing investments made in improving mobile testing practices and procedures. I'll explain all of these in more detail. The savings just from shifting to Sauce Labs for mobile testing were significant. The customers saved in 3 ways. First, they no longer had to buy devices for testing and no longer had to purchase replacement parts when those devices broke. More importantly, they no longer had to manage and service devices in-house. Employee time doing this is so valuable that these time savings are actually worth more than the cost of the devices themselves. Third, we also heard that the customers retired other testing software that they had been using and so saved on licensing costs. As one of the interviewees said, we don't have to worry about making sure the devices are healthy or scaling. Having Sauce Labs manage devices saves time for my team on the administration. It's been much more hands-off. It's nice, it just works. So these savings add up. Even if the composite organization did nothing more than subscribe to and deploy Sauce Labs, it would recoup every $1 spent, plus gain an additional $1.60 in saving. So I just talked about how Sauce Labs saved time on in-house device administration, but there were additional benefits throughout the organization beyond just the pure infrastructure benefits. In addition, Sauce Labs also helped the QA team save time performing tests and help developers save time fixing issues. This is what we call the delivery team productivity benefit. This benefit is attributable to the automation that Sauce Labs made possible. With Sauce Labs, the customer organizations automated their existing testing procedures. This automation saved them time, and then they use that to test more frequently as well as expand testing coverage. Those were the sources of benefits for the QA team members, but the developers also save time because with this expanded testing and by testing more frequently, they found bugs earlier in the software development lifecycle. And Sauce Labs also provided rich logs and test assets that helped these developers fix issues significantly faster. As one interviewee said, we now run tests as part of our release pipelines, and we're able to rely on the tests in Sauce Labs. In the past, we couldn't rely on testing. If a release failed, we didn't know why. That's the biggest change that has happened. We have Sauce Labs running on staging, running on production, and running for our nightly builds. We have a lot more logs available to us. We have screenshots and recordings, all of which we wouldn't have had in the past. We may have had some basic logs, but not to the level that Sauce Labs provides. Third, Several customers also report that improving their mobile testing with Sauce Labs unlocked new business opportunities for them. Again, we're talking about the benefits at the organizational or business level. So a good example of this was that several customers were able to expand device coverage and support devices that were prevalent in certain markets, or to support devices that would help them attract new customers. So this benefit, you can think about it as the business impact of higher velocity. The interviewees talked about how they're innovating more and releasing more product enhancements from their backlogs. Once testing was streamlined, there was an impact throughout the delivery lifecycle. So as one interviewee explained, we have definitely improved in terms of how much we're delivering. It's meant that from a QA perspective, we can pick up a lot of backlog items we had for coverage. We were able to add stuff into our pipelines to cover different markets, including India, Sweden, and Mexico, huge markets that they weren't able to support before. In the past, we would have not run tests on those devices at all. So this benefit, we actually modeled it very, very conservatively. And if you think about the distribution of benefits that I showed previously, it's the smallest benefit in the category. But we heard about it so consistently from customers that improving testing led to new business opportunities that we had to include it in our model. The fourth benefit that we heard about was related to app quality. So software issues pose significant risks to businesses. Any issues that escape into production can impact users and customers and then hurt revenue. And the customers we spoke with report to us that this had happened a handful of times before Sauce Labs, and that they were spending significant effort and really, really scrambling to prevent these issues from recurring. And just remember, for these organizations, their apps were critical to their businesses. Better testing with Sauce Labs led to higher app quality. The organizations found more issues during testing, and as a result, fewer issues escaped to production. For a composite organization, after fully implementing Sauce Labs and shifting most of its mobile testing to the platform, it so reduces the risk of these business critical issues escaping QA and testing that its apps are virtually error-free. This improvement in quality has a measurable impact for the business as a whole. We also heard about several benefits that were not quantifiable and are more qualitative. So first, Sauce Labs contributed to better collaboration between developers and QA. The interviewees report that there was less finger pointing, and instead the QA and development teams worked together as a unified delivery team. Also, while our case study did focus on mobile testing in particular, several of the customers were using other products in Sauce Labs suite, and they realized benefits by just using one platform for all their testing needs. The final qualitative benefit that we heard about was increased innovation. The delivery teams spent less time addressing bugs and more time releasing new features that generated value for the businesses. They spent more time pursuing projects that they wouldn't have had the time to otherwise. So one interviewee really summed up the benefits as follows. Sauce Labs gives you confidence in the definition of done, so that the teams that are in high pressure situations can deliver software quicker, faster, and more iteratively. These benefits, though, while tremendous, didn't come for free. So the interviewees also reported 3 different types of costs. First were the Sauce Labs subscription fees, which vary based on usage. And then also the customers did spend some light effort to deploy Sauce Labs initially. They report that this effort was relatively minor. It's setting up the right permissions and so on. The greatest source of costs were the ongoing investments that the customers made to improve mobile testing. So this includes work to automate tests, to write new tests, and to improve testing procedures. This should make sense. No platform is a silver bullet all on its own. And so what happened for these customers was that Sauce Labs unlocked new testing capabilities for them, and then the customers invested resources to take advantage of those capabilities and improve their testing. All told, after quantifying those benefits and costs, we calculated a 217% return on investment for our composite organization. Over 3 years, the investment in Sauce Labs yielded over 10 million in present value benefits. And then if you subtract the costs, you get net present value benefits of almost 7 million. One of the interviewees summed up their experience with Sauce Labs like this. I'm very happy with how Sauce Labs assigns a person to be our rep to address any questions or issues we have. They've been really great about connecting with me to tell me about new features. They've been very good about helping us. We heard throughout that the partnership that the customers had with Sauce Labs was really key to their success and something that they valued immensely. Thank you. And from here, we'll move on to a brief Q&A period.
Hi, Stephanie. If you have any questions for Jeffrey, please read them out.
Yes, absolutely. We have a couple that came in. The first is, can you elaborate more on the delivery team productivity term and what teams are primarily considered a part of that?
Sure, yeah. So the delivery team productivity considers both the QA and testers as well as developers themselves. Most of the benefits are accrued by the QA engineers and testers, but we consider this as one unified delivery team for the purposes of modeling, because the customers we spoke with over time and after introducing and working with Sauce Labs, the developers and the QA engineers started interacting and taking on multiple similar roles. They were collaborating so much better that it was really the unified team working together to ship software. So that's where that benefit comes from.
Wonderful, thank you. Another question that we had was, when it comes to new business attributed to improved testing, what are some key business metrics that companies look at?
So for this, you'll want to look at release frequency, velocity, all the kinds of, and also the amount of time that teams spend working to deliver new features that add value to the organization versus just fixing existing issues as they come in. This is really about, business leaders may also consider other kinds of metrics, such as ratings in app stores, customer lifetime value, other kind of indices measuring customer satisfaction, because all of those are indicators of the success of an application with customers, the ultimate source of where the business is derived from.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar today. We do have some quick notes as we close. When you exit the webinar, you'll be presented with a survey. So we'd appreciate if you provide us your feedback on today's event. You'll also be receiving a link to the webinar slides and today's recording in around 48 hours. So please be on the lookout for that. On behalf of Sauce Labs, we thank you very much for joining us and have a great rest of your days.